Susan, it's so nice to meet you. I recognize you from seeing you around.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I literally wrote like almost a 5-page little, like, hey, I'm gonna get them good. But you know what? I'm not even gonna read this. I'm just gonna speak from my heart. It may be all over the place, but hey, you guys will stay connected. I am so honored to be here. I truly am. Before I even start, I want to just acknowledge Donna, because I wouldn't be here had it not been for Donna. Donna has been an angel that God has sent my way, and I've been so grateful for this woman. She is just all what you see is what she is. She is a woman of faith, always just loving people, showing compassion, connecting people. Anything she can do, that's Donna. And she's been such a blessing to me, and I just want to thank her for everything she has done. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Okay, where do I start? I think the next acknowledgement is this ministry. Oh my gosh, how amazing is this? Because I was even hearing that some of you ladies, this is like your lunch hour. And how cool it is to get fed, like spiritually fed, and to go back to that office and really try to, pass on some of what you get from these amazing hour. I just think that's amazing what this ministry is doing on a consistent basis. The programming is so uplifting, encouraging. So I'm happy to be a part, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to just share a piece of my journey, unscripted. So, yes, like Donna said before, I'm Marie Ferdinand Harris. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Not the best place to raise a family, but it was the best my parents could do at the time. Growing up in those, I don't know if you guys are familiar with First 48, but let me tell you, there's an area called Miami-Dade County where the worst of the worst happened. My parents, who didn't get a chance to go to college, didn't really have much of anything, but raised 8 children in a really tough area in Miami, and trying to make ends meet every day to make sure their kids had every opportunity. And I watched my mom. I watched my mom daily, because now my mom was single and raising 8 children on her own. But I watched how she was dealing with life adversity, the challenges, and I never saw her complain. I saw her work hard every day with a smile on her face. And that was my first introduction to what hard work looked like, and what is faith, because she was believing in something she couldn't see, but she just wanted everything, all the opportunities for her children. She wanted her kids to be highly educated, to pursue higher education, and that is what I wanted. I wanted to go to college. I just didn't know how was I going to do that. Mom was barely keeping the lights on. How was I ever going to get to college, living in this environment, where it's daunting, it's so dark? But I dared to dream. I dared to stay faithful. I dared to rely on God so He can open doors. So I focus on where lies opportunities, not the circumstances. And it wasn't until age 13 there was this famous announcement that I know we all heard at some point. Anyone interested in girls basketball, come and try out. And it dawned on me like, wow, I should go do that. And that is what I did. I went on and tried out, and Lord knows I knew nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was breaking all the rules when it comes to basketball. But the coach looked at me and said, wow, I can work with you. I don't know what he saw, but he saw something in me, which he made sure I stayed in practice. I attend every day. And within just committing to it, over 2 years, I became one of the most sought-after guards that all these universities wanted to give a scholarship to. I had all these colleges coming to our school. And let me tell you, the school we went to was a school where it was always known as the bad news bears. There's always something bad happening. But when they saw these big Division I college coaches from Tennessee to University of Connecticut to Georgia coming into Miami Edison Senior, it was a positive light. And I knew at that time God was using me. He was using me to become that trailblazer, to be that light in the school, to show that they can also do it. And I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to fail my teammates. I didn't want to fail the other young kids who didn't have motivation, didn't have anything to look forward to, because it was such a daunting town to live in. So I took sports full on. I dedicated to it, working every day, tired, just giving everything I can. And I was blessed to have two great coaches. One who was a financial support to me, and the other who was just a security guard, who was not even on the staff. He was just there to make sure there was order in the school, but he would come every day and volunteer his time and teach us basketball fundamentals. And he was a coach where if you're gonna commit, you commit. If you're gonna practice, you practice. And with us putting in the time and also just literally buying into his system, oh, my game went to new heights. I was able to get a scholarship to LSU, which made headlines because no one from my area goes to an LSU. But like I said, I was always looking for opportunities, not circumstances. So here I am now, leaving my little cocoon where, you know, it's just always people that just look like me. I was just around that. And now I'm here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It was culture shock. I had to exercise self-confidence. I never even went to sit in front of the class. I didn't feel like I deserved to even be in the front of the class. I just felt like out of place, but it was God speaking through me and saying, hey, you earned this. No one gave you anything. And I made myself get in front of that class and sit front row because it was something that was earned. So I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, trying to navigate this whole landscape, and I was determined to not let those other kids in my high school, I wasn't gonna let them down. I had to graduate and do it in 4 years, so I put pressure on myself every summer, not going back home. My teammates would say, hey, you're from Miami, aren't you going back home? Beaches. And I'm like, no, degrees, trying to pass. So I took the hardest classes every summer, the anatomies, because I majored in kinesiology, just to make sure I didn't fail my mom, who struggled. I didn't fail those other young kids at Miami Edison Senior High. I just wanted to make sure I finished the job. And let me tell you, did I finish the job? I ended up leaving LSU, a Kodak All-American, which is an award that you're given, the highest award given to the top players in the sport. I became a 2 years in a row Scholar Athlete of the Year. Now, I had a lot of naysayers when I went to LSU saying, oh, she's never gonna graduate, she won't even make it. So I was determined to prove that I'm going to be I'm gonna write my own story. So winning that scholarship award, academic award, 2 years in a row was so gratifying. It was something that I will never forget because they don't think athletes are that smart unless you're Janelle Walker. she's like this Morgan Stanley financial advisor. You know, but yeah, and I wanted to show them that, hey, we have brains too, you know? So that was my determination to win, not just athletically, but academically. I ended up becoming a Hall of Famer at LSU, a gold medal winner. All these through the grace of God, just opening doors as I put forth work ethic and I demonstrate a positive attitude. So and then on top of that, I always tell people, you know what, I had the best college experience. I was able to have rack up all these awards, and on top of that, find my husband. I mean, who gets a package deal like that? So I felt so blessed, and I was just ready after getting my degree and inviting my mom to come, who never leave Miami, but she was able to go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and that was heartwarming for me because for 4 years I never had my mom come to my game because she had to work. She could never miss work. But when I was graduating, she made sure this day I'm not gonna miss. So she took a flight and it was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana to watch me walk across that stage. A moment I will never forget because that's always been the dream for her, is for her kids to be highly educated. So I got my degree and now I'm just ready to go back home and really get a good job and help my mom out. But God was so good, he said, no, that's not it. I was blessed to get drafted into the WNBA, first round, 8th overall pick. Till this day, the first Haitian American to ever even play in the WNBA. And that's all God, that is him. So playing 12 years in the WNBA was mixed feelings because although you've made it, this is the top achievement, the WNBA, you know, but I had to, that's when I was really introduced to service, to be honest. Because all my years of playing, I was always a star player. I was always on a court. But for the first time in my life, I had to sit on the bench. And I never sat on the bench, but I was introduced to service. I was introduced to humility, which I had to learn how to cheer for others when they're learning and having success. I had to learn how to be grateful for 1 minute in the game. I learned appreciation I learned what it means to be a true pro, meaning you may not get in that game, but listen, you better make sure you're the first one to practice, last one to leave, because when your moment comes, that's when you take advantage of that opportunity. And I didn't learn this on my own. It was through me just digging deep into my Bible, because I'm in Los Angeles, being on the bench, and God leading me to just stay focused, because even in those dark moments, He's right there with us, shaping our character. And although I wasn't on the court scoring, I felt like in God's eyes, I was slam dunking. I was shooting 3-pointers because I was learning how to serve others. All my life, I've always had people hand me water, the players on the bench. For the first time now, I was handing someone else water. I was teaching how to serve, how to be about others, not just Marie, how to be an ultimate teammate. So that was my time, and also I had help. I don't know if you guys know who's Kobe Bryant. At the time, I was playing in Los Angeles, and I was going through this tough time, having to learn how to be demonstrate good sportsmanship while being on a bench, because that's not easy. To be on a bench and not get no game, that's hard. In one practice, because we would practice first and then the Lakers would practice after us, I'm just walking out of practice and Lord, Kobe come walking to me because he's coming into practice. And I'm just like, so I go up and I said, "Hey, Kobe," and he's like, "Hey, Marie." No, he didn't say my name. He didn't say my name, but he was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I said I had to take advantage of that opportunity because Kobe is like the ultimate mentally tough person that you can ever meet. So I had to ask him, like, how did you develop that mindset? How are you able to be this true pro? Like, how do you do this? And he said, "Okay, you want to see?" And I said, "Yes." So he invited me to his practice. He said, "Meet me here at 6 a.m. And I'm like, 6 a.m.? At the same time, I'm like, who turns down an invite from Kobe? So I made sure I set my alarm, and there he was with his white Bentley outside already in the gym. His team practiced at 11, but he had his own individual practice that he would always get up and go to. And when I tell you I got in this gym, and I'm watching this man play as though it's like a championship game. The intensity, the efficiency, the level of focus, and even the careness for the guy who's helping him. And I believe that was his ball boy. But he would grab a water and he'd go get a water for his ball boy. Like, he was just such a true pro to me. And what I witnessed was just like Mamba amazing. And I'm just like, ooh, Kobe. So then after practice, he called me down and he said, "You see, you get it?" He shared with me, you have to be a true pro. Like, they're gonna rely on me. So I have to put more in. I have to be here before them. And they're gonna trust me with that ball. So I gotta put in the time. I gotta do the work. Gotta be a true pro. Doesn't matter. And that moment shaped my whole mindset. I mean, I was ready the next day to just make sure I was the hardest working player on that court, regardless if I got 30 minutes or 1 minute, whether I was on the bench or whether I was in the game. My attitude wasn't going to waver. I was going to be a team player. I was going to sit there and make sure my scouting report, I knew my assignment. Because if coach put me in, I'm going to be ready for that 1 minute. And that's what I did. We end up being up 30 points, and the coach put me in the game. And at this point, 30 points, the game's out of reach, about 2 minutes left. You go in and you're, most of the time players like, well, the game's out of reach, I'll just go in, whatever. But my attitude was like, this is my 2 minutes that I've earned. I've worked every day in practice, and I'm going hard. So I'm out there grabbing steals and getting rebounds, taking charge, and they're all looking at me like, we're up by 30. I'm just like, no, this is my opportunity to show that, hey, I'm going to be a true pro and I'm going to take advantage of an opportunity. And that game is what helped me get my next contract, because that coach watched me for that 2 minutes play so hard and not even look at the scoreboard. That got me my next opportunity to Phoenix. So I'm proud of that moment. I'm proud of Kobe, and I'm just so grateful to God that he was just by me the whole time. Sometimes you think when you're going through hardships, he's not there. But I felt him pushing me. I felt him being so proud after every game, even when I wasn't in the game, but high-fiving my teammates, supporting them, cheering for others. Those were moments that made him proud, and I was grateful to be learning that lesson of service. So I wrap up a 12-year career and learning, how to win on the court, how to win off the court, and Now I'm like, okay, Lord, what's next? And I didn't know what was next. Throughout my whole life, I felt like I was always winning, you know, but for the first time in my life, 2 years after my career ended, we lost our 14-year-old son, CJ. Tragedy struck. And CJ was a kid that, oh my gosh, at the age of 14, already had a scholarship to LSU.
Wow.
He was a phenomenal athlete, wanted by so many colleges, just on the circuit. But it wasn't his athleticism. It wasn't even his points on the court, his touchdowns on the field, his home runs. That is not what makes it. That was not what made CJ special. It was his character. It was his compassionate spirit. It was his love for the people and the kids who were overlooked. Every day in school, you'll find CJ sitting with the kids who were special need. Now, CJ was this star player, but wanted no part of the star treatment. CJ cared for the kids who needed a friend, and CJ was a friend to them. CJ just had a heart for loving people, not touchdowns or home runs. So when we lost CJ, we were in a hospital with CJ, I mean, every day just praying profusely that God would just give us more time with CJ. But God, I mean, I'm one of those moms that's very hands-on. I don't even let my kids ride bikes. Like literally, I'm so hands-on. But if I'm gonna release my child to anyone, it'll only be Jesus. That will be the only person. So I felt peace knowing that for CJ to have 14 years and for God to look at him and see his heart and say, hey, job well done. You're ready right now. It makes me so proud as a mom. So when I came home from that hospital after losing CJ, I just went into CJ's room and I just got on my knees and said, thank you, Lord. Thank you for 14 years. You're so sovereign. You're so good. I feel like, wow, I feel like Mary. Like, God, you chose me. You chose me to carry this. Like, he can't choose everyone. Not everyone is built for it. And I love sharing CJ's story. I love to talk about CJ. Like, I wrote a book on CJ. Like, I can't get enough of CJ. So I just thank God for everything he's given me. And I thank him for choosing me. Like, he chose Mary. You chose me. And for me, and now I have 2 boys, and I'm trying to make sure they are ready. I'm trying to make sure I'm ready. So we go and we share CJ's message through the foundation. We established the Be Like CJ Foundation, where we're very active in the schools, encouraging young people to live a compassionate life. Be humble, be loving, be caring, be a friend, be like CJ. And it's always, I mean, it changed the whole room when these kids learned CJ's story. So my life has just been not just wins on the court, but I feel like God has shown me that even in loss, you're victorious. And that's the biggest message that I feel, you know, is that he, you know, I'm always winning, even in loss. So I always love to come in here and share my story because I know it's gonna impact, it's gonna motivate, it's gonna encourage someone else to keep going, keep moving, because even in loss, you too can still be victorious. So I'm happy that I was able to share my story with you guys. I love asking questions, asking if you guys have questions, but my leader, my manager today, who is Marilyn, said, hey, no, we can't go into all that. But I'll ask if there's a question, she'll ask. So if you guys have more questions, I know you probably, one of the questions you guys probably want to know is, how did we lose CJ? CJ was in an ATV wreck when we lost him to a severe brain injury. Yes, but I feel him every day. Every day I feel CJ. He was just a light in a dark world who really didn't care for the worldly things. He cared for people. He was just so compassionate and so loving. So if y'all want to learn more about CJ, go to belikecj.org. You can see all the amazing things we're doing. If y'all, listen, I love sharing CJ. I could talk about CJ all day. I'm grateful that God has given me unimaginable strength to stand here and talk about not just my journey, but also CJ, this amazing kid that he blessed me with for 14 years, and 14 years that I'm grateful for. And yeah, it's been amazing. Oh, we have a question, so can I take that question? I didn't ask.
I say you can. So I wanted to ask, because you're one of 8, where do you fall within your family, and have your siblings have similar mindsets that you attribute from perhaps the guidance of your mother? Have they equally had their own successes that they draw from?
To be honest with you, we have 3 older brothers that never could make good decisions, living in the environment we were living in. I'm number 5 out of the 8. I have an older sister that became mommy to us early on, and I have 3 other sisters. So my sister went to college, my older sister. My younger sisters, they saw my growth and how determined and committed I was. They ended up going to college as well. So we did great. We were able to make her proud. We lost my mom actually in 2021, and then we lost CJ in 2024. So they're both, she was very protective over CJ, so I know they're extremely happy of how we all turned out and the great work we're all doing in our lives.
Have you had an opportunity to communicate with either by email or in person with Kobe about what a difference now that you're this far away from basketball and how it changed your life completely?
Well, not me, but maybe CJ, because we all know Kobe now has passed.
Right, I mean, but
Before his passing, I shared with him how he has helped me, because I was stuck in a 3-year contract with LA. So there was no leaving. I had to understood how to be an ultimate teammate on the bench. How do you cheer for others? How do you be about others? So I've shared with him how appreciative I am that he was able to help me learn that lesson, learn how to do it, and do it well. It's the same thing we were instilling in CJ, being that ultimate teammate. Not just being about yourself, but being about others.
You have 2 other children now?
Yes, we have an older son who we've adopted. He's 18, getting ready to go to the Air Force, and we have a 10-year-old named Ace who think he runs the whole house. Yes.
I'm full of questions. I feel like many of the things that you've said, I also teach in my household to my kiddos. And one of the phrases we always repeat is, we don't lose, we win, or we learn. Is there a mantra that you use with your own parenting or when you need to encourage yourself that you would want us to take away as a nugget from this luncheon?
For me, it's always God knows everything. It gives me strength to know that God knows everything. So that tells me to keep going. He knows. So I always say, God knows everything. He knows. So keep going. Keep going. Like I mentioned earlier, even in those dark moments, those hard days, those challenges, those adverse, He knows. But He's watching to see how are you going to respond? How are you going to respond to it? Look at my response. I could have my response would have been different. Losing my 14-year-old son. But my response was like Mary, not my will but yours. And He had already equipped me with what I needed to move on. So I'm just so grateful that He chose me, because I have a son that sits in heaven with the man I rely so heavily with. Every day I'm on my knees praying, and I'm like, CJ's with him? Why am I sad? I'm the loser here. I have to figure this whole world out. And I feel like, how if you're going out for a job and your best friend's dad is the CEO, and you're like, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna get this. You feel confident that you're gonna get that job because your best friend's dad is the CEO of the company. That's how I feel. Like I have one that sits with Jesus. So I'm constantly, CJ, talk to Jesus for me, CJ. Talk to Him for me. I'm always asking Him, CJ, please talk to Him for me. So I have one who sits with Him, so it encourages me. It gives me strength to keep going, keep moving. So that will be my encouragement, is God knows. He knows.
How did you come to faith in Christ? Like, were you raised in church, or you just were able to watch your parents?
I grew up Catholic, but as I got older, my friends, my teammates, we got involved with FCA.
Yeah.
And but I was kind of felt like I was going through the motion in my middle school, high school, on promotion. It wasn't until I was sidelined with an injury, and this is what my freshman year in college. I was sidelined with an injury, and I felt like God wanted His place, because before that, it was just basketball. I would watch it, I would play it. It was just Sports Center basketball. He wanted His place, and that's when I was sidelined. I was introduced to this pastor. He started taking me to church. Until this day, he took me to buy my first Bible. Until this day, I still have that same Bible. But that's when my walk became stronger. Like it became real to me when I put him first.
Do you keep up with any of your peers that you went to high school with?
I do. We have a whole group chat, like an alumni
Oh,
group
okay.
chat that we're all. We just recently got together and bought our coach a car. This was the security guard who didn't have anything. He would volunteer his time, and we bought him a car because he was, believe it or not, true story, riding a bike to work and back and forth. So we got together because all of us got scholarships to college, and it was because of him. How he poured into us, making us push through academically, not settling for C's. Push for A's. It was his influence. You know, some of us are in the Air Force, Navy, some of us are doctors, athletes. Like we just have a plethora of athletes in different players in different career fields, but it's because of him, because in that environment, you're destined to fail, but he poured just victory in us. So it was a special story. The news covered it, was just amazing. And also too, I shared how my mom struggled her whole life. She actually lived in an apartment our whole life, raising us, 8 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. Couldn't escape the siblings, but it's okay. But I remember when I got my first WNBA check, that is exactly what I did, was get my mom her first home. So I'm very proud of that. So all you guys need to know, kids are watching. They're watching what y'all doing every day, how y'all handling those hard times, and they're watching.
I don't have a question, but I would definitely feel bad if I left not saying how we celebrate your conviction and your belief, your strength, and we talk about God, but to walk it out even in trauma, and then to be able to share it with strength and boldness and confidence. I want to applaud that. You are phenomenal in all the things that God trusted you with today.
I'm telling you, I didn't know I could literally make it and lose my 14-year-old son. That was just, you can't even, it was just all Jesus. To give me that strength and to have a passion to share his story, you know, I'm very active in his nonprofit, and I love going into schools and popping CJ's video and watching the kids get mesmerized by CJ. You know, they don't care about I'm being a WNBA All-Star. They're like, tell us about CJ. And that's good. That's what we want. We want y'all to know about CJ. We want you guys to love like CJ, care like CJ, be a friend like CJ. And I get to do that. I feel like I don't want to disappoint God. I don't want to fail him. I get to do that. He trusts me. So it's to me, it's such a beautiful thing. And I feel so empowered every day, like, wow, Lord, you think I can do this? It gives me more motivation because he trusts me. So I can't let him down. All right. Well, my question, lady.
I got one, yes, I do. In the world of athletics, especially in LA, I think a layman's perspective is that it's a destructive environment sometimes. Did you find that there are athletes that turn to God and have like Bible study, or was it a constant fight against kind of the worldliness and the idea of pride and self? Like, how did you handle that in an environment where you're basically a celebrity?
Well, my whole entire life, I've been able to keep first thing first, to be honest with you. Keep first thing first. As long as I kept God first, like literally first, it doesn't matter what environment you throw me in, you know, because I know the main thing is the main thing. So even playing in the WNBA, there's a lot of different things going on in the WNBA. Everybody has their own beliefs and their standards, but for me, I really do believe I was placed in the WNBA to be a light, you know, just to be a vessel, you know, so my positivity, my smile, my lightness, meaning we can lose, but as long as I go out there and I encourage a fan, I didn't lose, I won. Like, I won the game tonight. I was always looking for winning moments. So, because I keep the first thing first, God is first, and that's what God wants. I've learned now that you never lose with God. You never lose with him. So, and that's something I know I try to pour into my teammates is, I know we lost. Just perfect example, we were playing a championship game in Phoenix, Arizona, and we lost that game. And the fans, it's the last game, the fans are all waiting, you know, to get our autographs or shirts signed or whatever. And all the players are rushing in the locker room because they're upset we lost that game by 1 point, which I understand. But for me, and not to make myself look all, you know, whatever, but I'm looking at the fans and I'm really trying to, like, I already kind of flipped my mindset to like, okay, how do I be a blessing now? How can I become a blessing? So I turned my focus and I'm looking in the stands and my eyes made contact with a little girl who was holding her ball out, hoping someone signed it. And I go and I say, hey, how are you? And she was saying, can you sign my ball? And I'm like, sure. And I signed her ball, and then her mom come down, and she said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. We've saved everything just to make one of the games. You know, we saved everything just to make one of the Phoenix. She loves Mercury basketball. And that little girl and her mom cried just from getting their ball signed. You mean to tell me I'm worried about that loss? No, because in my mind, you never lose. I've always believed I give my best on the court, whether I'm in the game or on the bench. After that, I live with the results because I gave everything. I let it go and I move on. And that's my mindset, is my train of thought. But had I not had that, I probably wouldn't have noticed that little girl. Mom worked tirelessly just to get her daughter to a game. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
You're beautiful.
Thank you so much.